I'm going to show you how to efficiently navigate the Mercedes-Benz wiring diagrams. Where can you get these diagrams? Well, they either come on your Xentry scanner if you bought a bootleg one, or you can get them by signing up to be an ISP, which is independent service provider. It's like a monthly membership. I think you can pay daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. It's kind of expensive, but if you're a shop, it's totally worth it. The portal can be found at startechinfo.com. All right, and then when you click on site preview, it'll bring you here that shows you how it looks. This is pretty much what we use in the dealership, although it's not laid out the same, but it's what we use, okay? But some information about me is I've been with Mercedes-Benz, well, the brand, since about 99, 2000. I took the Mercedes-Benz Elite program back at UTI, and then my first dealership experience was out in Mercedes-Benz in Rochester Hills, Michigan. Worked there for about 2 years, and then down to Chicago, where I'm from, Lober Motors. Worked there for about 4.5 years, and then I moved down to Peoria, Illinois, where I've been working at all the different Mercedes. There's only one dealership, but it went through a bunch of different hands, called the Auto House of Peoria. So I have just over 25 years experience with Mercedes-Benz alone. I also got an Instagram, if you want to follow me there or check out some videos I try to post on there. And in my off time, I'm an aspiring comedian. I do comedy as well. All right, so let's get back to what you came here for. We're going to walk through everything here. I will go ahead and separate it into chapters on the video, but this is the home screen. When you get to the model you want to look at, all right, and first we're going to talk about Starfinder. Okay, what is Starfinder? Well, Starfinder is the finder of all of the locations. All right, if you notice, everything's going to be alphanumeric, and what that means is everything has a designation. Every single part in a Mercedes-Benz car has a designation. All right, so I'm going to run through just a few and give you examples. You're also going to find this, where when you get into certain things, it's going to show you image not available. All right, you may have one or two search boxes because in each component may have multiple other components. And I'm going to walk through all of this, so I don't expect you to understand what I'm talking about right now, but I'm going to show you this stuff, right? So if I start with A1, which is our instrument cluster, it shows you there's no image available. But in the cluster, there's other components that have designations like E, which are lights, and I'm going to run through all these. So when we click on one of these, it will now show you what that is in here. All right, so now then it'll have different photos showing the location of stuff. Click on those. All right, then we can go right back to the designation. Now when you click on it, you can scroll down with the mouse wheel. You can press up and down with the arrow. If you hit enter on one, you can now cycle through each one, and it shows all the locations of stuff, right? When you're in there, some components have subcomponents, right? And it shows you everything. Our stuff, I say ours like I made it, but our stuff is the most easiest to navigate of all the manufacturers I've ever used. It is by far the best wiring diagram I've ever used, service-wise. And I can find any component within a matter of seconds. Of course, I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm going to show you how to find that, right? So let's run through this stuff. So A are transmitters of some type. So we got the cluster, antenna splitter, CD changer, TV tuner, window amplifier, sound amplifier, and notice it shows you at the bottom here the designation and sound amplifier, and it shows you a brief location of where it's at, and then there's different photos that you click on it and it shows you where it's located. All right, that's how we easily find stuff. You will find it easier in here than you would in WIS, which is our workshop information system. If you're in WIS and you go to use it, it's not, sometimes it'll show you how to remove the items, but this is quicker just to find the location of it, right? I try to use my wiring diagram for almost everything. So let's go back to the designations. So A's are transmitters of some type. All right. B's are sensors of some type. Travel sensor, axle sensor. All right. Let's see what else we got. Level sensors. traction sensors, right? So B's are sensors. There are no C's. We jump to E's. E's are all the lights, right? I'll show the left headlamp unit, but in the headlight unit shows all the different components. Okay, so it shows you all the locations of everything. Low beam, standing beam, all right. F's are fuses. Let me get the F. F's are fuses or fuse boxes. Okay, in the fuse box, fuse locations. So F1 is the fuse box. F6 is the fuse location. F6, and then it'll go down 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Sometimes it shows a photo of the location of it. Sometimes it just shows a diagram. So G's are power supplies, battery, alternator. Oh, and then we also got the O2 sensors. So they are very good with being consistent, right? So an O2 sensor will always be a G. A G33 will always be a left O2 sensor upstream, right? A G33 will never be a right sensor upstream. Now the number G3 and the designation 3 is always going to be on the left side, where a 2 is always going to be on the right side, right? Now that doesn't mean the same with the cluster or starter or alternator, but when it comes to components, a 3 or 4 is on the left or right side. See, a right side, it's an even number, right? But it's a G3, that's an oxygen sensor, and then the position of it is number 4, all right? No matter what car you're on, it will always be a G4, will be the right O2 sensor upstream, all right? They're very consistent with a lot of this stuff. H's are sirens or anything that produces some type of a sound. K's and F's are similar. So K's can be fuse boxes, okay, or fuse box location, or they can be a solenoid or a relay. Now, to me, a relay and a solenoid is kind of the same thing. Not in electrical theory, but in Mercedes, a relay is going to activate something or be activated, where a solenoid is kind of also going to be activated. So if you notice here, the rear fuse and relay module is called K45. They didn't use an F designation for this. So basically, you're going to find fuses under K's or F's, all right? And then now when it says 5, it doesn't mean there's 5 of these in here. That's just a designation for this car. It could have been a different version of it. Not meaning like they updated it, but let's look at, there's no K44, but in a different car, like say the SLK, there may have been a K43 or K40/4, right? So all of these are different locations for fuse boxes. And it's like a different version. So a K46 may not ever be used in another model, all right? And if it is, it would be the same chassis, or I'm sorry, the same model like S-Class, but different chassis. So since this is a 220, it may be a 221 would also have a K46 in it, right? When you get to use these things over and over again, you'll see the consistencies in them. Okay, now let's go to L's. L's are speed sensors of some type. Okay, we got crank sensor, and then we got wheel speed sensors. All right. M are motors. Starter motor, blower motor. Okay, so I've been in this brand for so long that I know that if I'm looking for a sensor, I'm going right to B. If I'm looking for a solenoid, I'm going right to Y. If I'm looking for a switch, I'm going right to S. A motor, right to M, right? So there's very good consistencies in here, which makes it easy to find things. All right, headlight adjustment motor. Okay, now we get to N. N are modules. Every control module has an N designation. Now, the only discrepancy is the instrument cluster is actually a control module, but they don't see, I'll show you, let's see if they have it in here. They don't have it in here. So the instrument cluster is a control module, but they're basing this one mainly on a transmitter because it gives you all kinds of signals and transmits data back and forth, right? But you will have a few things like the radio is also a control module, but because, for some reason, CD changer is actually a control module, but they listed it in like a transmitter type of a designation, right? So there's a few things that may not make sense right away, but a CD changer will always be in an A. A cluster will always be in an A, right? So that's the kind of the good consistency that I like with this. So back to N, control modules are all in N's, right? So if you're looking for a control module location and want to know where it's at, you can go right to N and just start flipping through them all, okay? And I always advise, when you get this thing at first and you want to learn about your car, just start at A, right? Click on it and then down arrow and just go through every single one, because the more repetition you have, the more it's going to be easier to use, all right? So, and if you notice, again, the designation, what it's called, and a circle showing you where it's located at, all right? So let's go down to R, and you can also type the letter, right? So if I go on the keyboard and hit A, brings me to A, B, right? R, okay, hit enter on it, okay? Heated rear window. So R's are basically heating elements. It can also be airbag connections, okay? For some reason they put airbag connectors in there, but R, let's see, heated washer nozzle, wiper heater, hose heater, cigar lighter. They always call them cigar lighters. And also R's are spark plugs. So I'm not sure if it's because they have resistors in there or why they chose R. I mean, that could be the reason. Driver squibs, airbag squibs, airbag igniter connectors, okay? You'll always find those in R. All right, but then there'll be another section, X, which I'm going to get to, that will also have airbag connections in it, but those are just separation connectors, meaning they plug in and plug out between it like a male and female connector, right? So S is going to be the starter. Let me find a starter here. Oh no, starters, hold on. Starters M1. My apologies. S's are switches, all right? So exterior light switch, combination switch, which is a turn signal switch, right? And then on it, subcomponents, turn signal switch, okay? So S's are always switches. So I know if I need like a window switch, then I'm going to S's to look for them, all right? Anything that activates or needs to be activated by an input, meaning like a driver's hand, right? If you got to push it, it's a switch, it'll be an S. T's are ignition coils. I've never seen anything else but ignition coil have a T, right? It shows you all the locations. That's sometimes a great way to find the firing order. Oh, I'm sorry, not the firing order, but the location of a cylinder, all right? But if you go with the, even on the driver's side, I'm sorry, odd on the driver's side, and even on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, right 4. Oh, those are actually different. Ignore that part. But parts are, again, odds one side, even on the other. All right, V's are diodes. I have honestly just found V in trying to make this video. I can't tell you when I've ever had an issue with the diode in one of our cars, right? W's are grounds. So if you want to know ground locations, hit your W's. It shows you every single one. And the nice thing about Mercedes is every brown wire is a ground. I don't think you will find a solid brown wire that is anything else but a ground, and they're all bolted to grounds. Okay. All right, so now that we covered the designation, okay, let me flip my page here. Now we're going to start learning how to use the diagram. So I can go back to the intro, and it brings us here. All right, now if I'm back in Starfinder, ETM means electronic troubleshooting manual. That's what they used to be called. They used to be flip out books. All right, so you can also click that, and it brings us right to the manual. Again, if we're in intro, click Web ETM with Starfinder. and it brings us back here. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run through the search options. If you need to find something, you can do a couple different ways. If you know the group, because everything's by group, which is awesome, okay, and it's laid out here. This is like the basics that we learn in Mercedes school is all the groups, right? We use this over and over and over again. Anything that's internal electrical, meaning inside the interior, 82. Anything has to do with locks, central locking, 80. Anything to do with roofs, 77. Doors, 72. Like this is very consistent. Okay, this goes from WIS to the parts catalog and to the wiring. If it's in group 15, it's always going to be in group 15. However, you're going to have a couple where they put the documents in the wrong section based on what you've learned in how it has been in the past, right? So it's like 99.99% efficient and effective, right? So let's go through the search options. You can go to component list, and if you know the designation, you can click by which one you want, okay? And while you're in here, it shows you the diagrams that it's associated in, okay? So you'll find the glove compartment illumination with switch in group 00. It'll be in group 54 and group 82. But see how this one is bold? That is the main one that this is in. It's just also referenced in these other ones, okay? And I'll give you an example. So if I'm looking for E13.2 and I click on this diagram, it should be highlighted somewhere. Here's E13.2. So it's showing that it's connected to the ground connector. So there's a ground splice, and the ground is shared between all of these, and it's shown that that's where the ground comes in for E13.2. Okay, so now if I go back to my component list, let's see what it's in 8220. This is a function diagram, and it's showing you that the right front SAM, see when I hover over that, see the bottom, watch down here, hold on, watch down here, the bottom left. When I hover over something, it pops up with the information as to what it is, okay? I can also click on it, gives me the designation, the star finder, where it's at, okay? And go back to the diagram. All right, now let me go back to the component list, and then now I'm going to go to the one that's bold, and let's look for E13.2. There it is here. So it shows the whole component. All right, it shows the ground, and here's the other link to the other diagram, and then it shows what it's looking for to be connected to ground for the SAM to kick it on. All right, so when we search, you can either go by main index, you can go to the component if you know the component. You can also go to search, and we can type in glove, interior lights, glove compartment. Okay, you can type in lamp. It'll pull up anything with a light or a lamp. All right, and also you can see the group. Okay, you can search by title. You can search for components by name. Okay, so anything with a lamp. So there's different ways to search. All right, over here also, if you know it's an E, you can go to E. Let me find E13.2. And now it pulled up the wiring diagram based on E13.2 right there. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you can search through here. Okay, so now let's go back to this here. You can also, so it shows group here, even though it shows group here, and I'll show you why. Because if I'm in group 54 and I want to get back, you can just click here to go to a different group. Very easy to navigate. All right, or you can go to the main index. Okay, so there's plenty of outs to get out of the diagram. Now, if I'm in something and I right click and go back, it takes me to the home screen. So you kind of lose your progress. All right, so now we're going to go through, now that we got search functions done, let's go to a diagram. All right. Now I'm gonna teach you everything about the diagram, and then I will show you how to use the diagram. All right. So in here, we're highlighted on diagram, so we're seeing the full diagram. While you're in here, you can click and drag. You can scroll with the mouse wheel. Okay. When you're here, it resets it. You can show the full diagram. You can go incrementally. Okay. You can zoom in here, zoom out. You can print the page you're looking at. You can also flip the colors. Okay. You can also highlight everything that has a link to it. All right. So if I flip it, see how it shows everything in red? That's everything you can click. Okay. All right. So now legend. Let's talk about the legend. When you click on legend, it shows you everything in this diagram that you can see. In the diagram, or from the legend, if I click on this, it brings me right to the point of the item I clicked on. Okay, right there. Now, B43, fuel tank pressure sensor, it's located at 45L. If you go back to the diagram, look at the top numbers. Okay, starts at 1, and then it goes letters, right? So we got numbers and letters. So if you go back to the legend, B43 is at 45L. Back to the diagram. Go to 45, and then where's L? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, L at the bottom, and look at 45, L. Okay, so you got coordinates to help you find where it's at. All right, and in the legend, if you want to segregate the letters, it'll highlight in blue the F's, highlight in blue the M's, the W's, right? Lots of easy ways to navigate this. All right. Okay. So now we're going to talk about diagnosis of the wires. Now, this is kind of tricky because what diagnosis does is it tells you what should be on the wire, and this is all checking from ground. It tells you right here, all values measured to ground unless otherwise noted. Now, take that with a grain of salt because, again, all of our stuff is 99.99% foolproof. Once in a while, it'll have something that maybe they copied pasted from a previous diagram. That isn't correct. I noticed this when I was trying to test wheel speed sensors. It went from a non-powered to a powered sensor, and the test was kept the same, which is not correct, and it drove me crazy. I had to learn all over again about powered wheel speed sensors. So what this is telling you here is that on this component, N310, which I'm going to click on it, brings you back, right, to the diagram and shows you where it's at. So at N310, and if you notice I'm rolling over it, it shows at the bottom what it's called, the engine control module. Okay. Connector A, pin 1, tells me what it is. It tells me what should be on it. And then there's some comments here at times. You can see over here, right? So now let's look at A1 and what it is. Go back to the diagram. Here's connector A. These are the pins inside here. There's pin 1. If I follow that down, it leads me to here. When I highlight it, G33, and then see at the bottom left over here, O2 sensor, right? So if I need to know what should be on this wire, or if I want to test an O2 sensor and I want to know what should be on it, I go to diagnosis and it tells me what connector, what connector and what pin should have what on it. This is how I find the diagnosis in conjunction with our Mercedes-Benz diagnostic scanner. The scanner will walk you through the test steps, but the diagram pretty much backs up the pins and wires that we're looking for, all right? And when it changes to a different item, it's not on this, but in other diagrams, if there's more than one module, it will have a different link over here and then start those connections, right? Okay, so again, we're going to walk through all these first, and then I'll go and teach you more about the diagram. So that's how you use diagnosis. It tells you the connector and the pin, what it's for, and what should be on it, okay? And again, everything is tested to ground, meaning the ground, the black lead of the meter is on ground, and then you're using the positive lead of the meter to test the signal, right? So let's go to system information. System information is basically a snapshot of WIS, the Workshop Information System, okay? So when you click System Information, it brings up a WIS document, which this is the document number in WIS, which you can type that into WIS and it brings up the exact same document. Again, 99.9% efficient. Sometimes you'll find something in here that isn't referenced in WIS, and I can't explain that one. Our documents are backwards. So this is the day, the month, and the year the document was made, and it also goes along with build dates. So when you look at a build date of a car, it goes day, month, year, all right? Not month, day, year. So in this system information, it brings up like a WIS document, and sometimes there's links to go. The problem with this is when you start following links, you can't really get back to the home screen. It just kind of takes you down the path, but you can't get back from the path, right? So this is nice to get a quick synopsis, and I'll show you also system information is also, so this is the link we're in, there's also system information. So I click here, and it brings me to the exact same document in the diagram, right? So here's a diagram. All these links keep us in the diagram. If I go back to the main screen, right, I can get back to the diagram by clicking here. Okay, if I click system information, it brings me here, but I'm now in the diagram, right? Okay, so system information brings you WIS documents as to how it's supposed to work, right? It's about 80% effective here. Sometimes you'll click on it and it'll show you the wrong item in that thing, where you can just go to WIS and learn how it works, right? All right, so let's go to connectors. This shows us how the connector looks by looking at the face of the connector. All right, and then it tells you the designation of the connector, meaning not the position, but the name. Everything has a name to it, a designation. All right, and I'm going to show you. So here would be the airbag control module. Okay, and here's the airbag connector, and this is looking at the face of it. All the pins, the pin numbers. Okay, so in case you need to know the pins. Here's your engine module. Okay, there was two different versions. We had 1 through 5, or we had A through F. All right, same thing. A is 1. Okay, B is 2. Okay, all the connectors. Ignition switch. These are the connectors. Okay. So how you use the connectors with the diagram is, let me find N73. Okay. Here's N73. On N73, this is connector B, pin 9. Okay. So these dots are the actual item, but then the box attached to it is the connector. The tear means there's more to it. The outside letter or number is the number or letter of the connector, and then the number inside is the pin of the connector. All right, so B9. So if I were to go to connectors and look at N73, connector B, pin 9, that's how I know what pin to check. It tells you right there. Okay, and I'm going to go more on wires and pins. This is not it for that. That's how I use connectors. Okay, the connector layout. So it's kind of nice that whatever diagram you're in, you can hit connectors and it shows you how the connection looks. This one is, we'll say, 75% effective. because sometimes it doesn't show all the connectors. It only shows one or two. And then sometimes they're copy pasted from a previous model and they're not the same. So take that with a grain of salt. What we're supposed to do in these instances when we find an issue, okay, we're supposed to go to help and then create a report and then tell them, and then they're supposed to update it, right? So, but we're usually busy trying to make money, so we don't do that. All right, now Starfinder is the same thing that we started with, Starfinder. Okay, just brings you a quick link to Starfinder. So, all right, so we went through all of those options. All right. Now we're going to learn about the diagram. Okay. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. All right. Let me start at the beginning. I want to look at the engine control unit. I know that it's an engine fuel management. Okay. You will learn that in time. Now that I'm in here, I want to look at the MESFI module, which is our motor electronics sequential fuel injection control module. I do have engine 113. My car was built before May 31st of 2000, and this is sheet 1, meaning there's 2 sheets, meaning the diagram is not all in one link. There's a second link that has the diagram. All right, so you got to pay attention to build dates, engine that you have, maybe the year of car. Okay, how you get this is you have to know your data card, which can only be found in WIS. Yeah, you click the data card and it shows you build date and options, because you'll need options sometimes. Or you can get it from your parts catalog. Okay, those are the 2 ways you can find your options and build dates. All right. See, here's a date. Okay, I just use a different VIN here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go into the control module, or let me back up. I'm going to go into this link of whatever item I want to look at. Here, I want to look at the engine control module. When I click on this, any diagram you choose, the main component of that is always at the top. Okay, it's at the top, and then the wires lead down to the items that it controls. These are not in any specific order. There are some consistencies across modules and diagrams, but they're not in any order, right? So all you're seeing is however they want to display it to you. It doesn't always have to start with the right connector, number 1 or A, right? They just kind of lay it out how they lay it out, right? But I'm going to zoom in here. So at the top of each diagram is going to be the main component of that wiring diagram, all right? Now at the bottom of the diagram is going to be the number that you have, okay? This will also translate to WIS. If you type this number into WIS, it'll pull up this diagram, okay? You cannot function the diagram in WIS like you can here, but you can see the diagram in WIS, all right? So the main component's at the top. The designation is at the top of the component. If you click on it, you can also see in the legend what it is. If you click on it, it brings you to the diagnosis sheet. Okay. If you click on it, it'll bring you to the connection layout. If you click on it, it can bring you to Starfinder. So you can do so much so fast by just clicking on one of the links. Okay. This is so easy to navigate once you understand what you're looking at. All right. Now that we understood that the main component is at the top of the diagram, the dotted lines, the dash and dots is the component. The solid line is the connector connected to the component. All right. If you look, you have a U-shaped. That means the pin of the connector is female, and the terminal of the module is male. All right. If I follow this down, it's bolted to ground. Okay. If I follow this one down, this is a female pin in the connector. This means there's more to the connector. This is not all one and done. It means there's more B somewhere in another diagram. All right. So we have female, we've got male. This is the flow of voltage. This is, again, 99.9% accurate. This is the thickness of the wire in millimeters, and this is the color of the wire. Ours are all in English. Sometimes you'll find like a BMW or Volkswagen that's in German. I don't even know why I brought that up because it's not the case here, but okay, female, 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 connector A, pin 3, pin 7, and pin 8. It's a 1.5 millimeter casing on the wire. They're brown, and they're all bolted to W166, which is a ground. Where's that ground? Click on it, star finder, boom, it shows you where the ground is at. All right, so let me get back to here. Female connector, 1 millimeter solid red wire. There's a splice, meaning another wire comes off of this wire. The wire actually increases to 2.5 millimeters. It's also another female connector, connector 4. This is the only pin in that connector because there's no tear to this box. It goes to fuse 1. Look at the bottom left down here, fuse 1. Okay, it's a 60 amp fuse. This is the circuit designation. I will get to that. Here's more splices coming off of here. This is tear because there's more to this box. This box is X422. What is X422? Let's find out. It's a rear prefuse box. Where's it located? In the trunk. See how easy this is to search through? All right. Back to the diagram. There is no male or female pin. Solid arrow. Solid means it's plugged right into there. All right. This one shows female, or this is bolted to it because it's round. All right. Where's this come from? This comes from G11. What's G11? Battery. See how easy it is to navigate? Okay. Bolted right to it. That's what the circles mean. It's bolted right to it. 10 millimeter fat wire, solid red, leading to X422, connector 1, bolted to it. It's fused between here and here. Fuse 1. Let's see if that shows it. Hold on. I had it highlighted. Fuse 1. Doesn't show it, but it's in there. Okay. Sometimes that's where we have the issue at sometimes. All right. 60 amp fuse. Comes out a solid 2.5 millimeter red wire into the engine control module, connector B, pin 4. Okay. 1.0. If I want to find what B pin 4 is, what do? Click here. Connector. Connector B, pin 4. Boom. Now you know how the connector looks. Now you know where the number's at. Okay, by looking at the face. See how easy this is to navigate. All right. Again, I'm explaining to you what's on the diagram, and I'm going to get to show you how I navigate it as fast as you just watched me do this. All right. When you're on the component here, it will tell you inside what the wire is. 31s are grounds, 30s are power. The letter after the 30 is just when does it have power, right? Other designations, you're not going to know what they mean, but we're going to go to help. We can go to abbreviations. This tells you all the abbreviations of Mercedes, not all of them, sorry, shouldn't have said that. A lot of them, okay, what they mean. All right. Signal and circuit abbreviations. And here is most of what you'll find inside the modules on the designations. Right? But some aren't helpful. 30Z, terminal 30Z. All it is when the power comes on. All right. But if you want to know what the wire is for, every wire has a designation as to what it's for. All right. We rarely use this. Usually the scanner that we use for Mercedes tells us what's in the on the wire, what it means, okay? But that's how you find that, all right? So I'm going to go back to the diagram, okay? Connector A, solid box all the way across. So in connector A, you can see, let's see, the pin 8. You can see it's an 8-pin connector. because it does not go higher than 8, right? Now let's double check this. Let's go to this and connectors. Pin A, 8-pin connector. Now we know what every wire does on pin A. Pins 3, 7, and 8 are all grounds, because not only do we see 31 for ground, but we see it's bolted to ground. Okay, pin number 6 goes to the engine control, the fan control unit. Pin number 2 comes from the right front fuse box. Okay, pin 4, nothing there, no contact. Pins 1 and 5 go to the O2 sensor. So let's say you have an issue where maybe the engine module is not turning on, it might not have ground to it, the fan's blowing high speed, you got fault codes with the O2 sensor. Well, guess what? If this connector is unplugged, it affects all those systems. Okay, so that's how easy it is to navigate and find the root cause of the issue. Now, if we want to know what this wire does, okay, if we want to see what this wire is for, it's a red wire with a blue stripe. That's what the two abbreviations for. This is yellow with blue over here. Okay, so if you want to see what this wire is, this wire comes out of MR1 pin 10. So now this is a hyperlink to the diagram in group 54. PE means wiring diagrams, right? So MR1 pin 10, red with blue. Let's click on this. Let's find MR1. Again, here's the main component. I'm looking for connectors to it. MR1, pin 10, look at that, red with blue wire. And where does it lead? To the diagram we just came from, right? Connector A, pin 2, okay? Now it tells me it's circuit 87, which I know is a key on power, right? If you follow this in here, I like to zoom in real close and tight. Okay, I grab that wire, follow it across, grab, follow it across. It's a solder point inside the fuse box. Follow it up. Now I know that fuse 29 is what supplies power to that engine control unit. And power comes when this relay is clicked on. All right, you'll learn this over time, right? But there you go. Relays are K's, fuse boxes are K's and F's. Fuses are F's. 20 amp fuse, fuse 29. Where do I know where that's at? Click on it. Star Finder, fuse 29. Engine compartment, right rear. See how easy it is to navigate. All right. Hope you're getting the hang of this now. So now I want to run through an exercise like I just did. Okay. Let's say you hook up the scanner. You have a fault code with B28. I'm sorry. B61 cam sensor. Okay. I want to know what's going on with the cam sensor. I know it's B61 because the code said B61, or maybe I don't know and I want to search by cam sensor. Either way, search, designation, pick one, found the document. In the document, instead of looking through everything, I go right to legend. Give me B's, B61 cam sensor. Where is it at? 5L or quicker, click that, right to it. There's my cam sensor. Where is that located on the engine? Boom, right front of the engine. Okay, now I know where the cam sensor's at physically. Now I know where it's at electronically per the diagram. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to look at the wires real quick. This tells me that the cam sensor has male terminals, female connector. Here's the positive coming in, here's the ground coming in, and it looks like a signal. And look at, yep, return to the module signal, ground from the module to the sensor. Okay, where's the ground come from? Connector E, pin 39, out of the engine control unit. All right, where's the power supply come from? Power comes in on a red wire with blue stripe. I follow that wire back. It goes to a Z. What is a Z? It's a splice that all powers or grounds or whatever the splice is shared. How do I know where to do with it now? Well, you can find or follow each wire, see what it goes to. That goes to a sensor, that goes to the mass airflow, Let me follow another blue, red, right? Another splice, which changes into different colors. Okay, so it kind of ends here, right? These all dead end at a component. These are all fuel injectors. All the Y's are fuel injectors because they're valves or solenoids, right? This one leads to, oh, the arrow comes from here. So the power comes from K47, right? Connector 2, pin 3 of the right front fuse and relay module. Where is that located? Boom, right there. Engine compartment, right rear. All right, back to the diagram. I want to know what powers this cam sensor. I'm going to look for M2 pin 3. Click on the diagram. Let me find M2. M2 pin 3, right, leads to my 07 diagram, okay? And of course, the Z-splice we were talking about. I'm going to scroll up because I want to fine tune that wire. We're going to look left and right to see where else it connects to. It connects to here. We go up, and what is that? Fuse 29. Okay, where's fuse 29? Boom, right there. So within a matter of seconds, and then we can go back one diagram at a time or to the first diagram we started, right? So within a matter of seconds, we found the cam sensor. We found where it's located. We found that ground comes from the engine control module. We found that power originates from fuse 29 of the front fuse and relay module. Now you're equipped with everything that you need to diagnose this. And now if you hit diagnosis, let me get rid of that highlight there. If I click diagnosis, right? So we're going to look for connector E, pins 40 and 39. Diagnosis, connector E, pin 39 and 40. 39 is camshaft sensor ground. 40 is camshaft sensor signal input. Camshaft signal affects injection system timing. That should have been over here in notes, right? How do you check it? To ground. Okay, so meter on ground, positive lead on this wire here. Engine at idle, you should have 1.2 to 1.7 volts. Okay, or use scope, square wave. It tells you how to diagnose the thing in here, right? Now, this isn't the best way. The best way is with the scanner that walks you through the cam sensor diagnosis, but this does tell you what's on the wire. So within a matter of seconds, you know the location of it, you know the power supply, you know you should be checking it at. This is how to efficiently use the wiring diagram. I really hope this helps. I know it's a long video, but once you learn this, it is extremely efficient to blow through any system you want to work on. Okay. Central knock-in, PSE. Where's the PSE located? Star finder, boom, it's in the trunk. Now I know where the control module's at, right? I want to check power supply to it. All of our powers are a red wire of some type with a color. All of our grounds are solid brown, right? So I know brown is here. Where's my ground come from? Ground comes from by the left rear seat. Okay. I want to know where my power comes from. Power comes from connector L34 of the rear fuse box. Where's that located? Under the seat. So now I know where my PSE pump is at. I know what connector should have power on it, what pin should have ground. Okay, I know where the CAN bus is at, right? Let's roll through that since people always want to learn how to find the CAN bus. Okay, so CAN bus will be in multifunction circuits. Under CAN buses, you have to know what engine you have. You have to know your build date, okay? Because not all are correct for your car. Not every diagram is for your car, but every diagram is for the chassis, okay? Meaning a 220, these are all the diagrams for 220 in USA, but it may not be for your car until you find your build date. So it's very important. Always have the right build date, always have the right options, okay? So if I go to CAN bus, pay attention to the groups that it's in. You'll learn these over time. Here's the CAN bus, all right? Where do I find the CAN bus? Well, click on it, Star Finder. Shows where the CAN bus connector's at. Right front door sill, interior, okay? What is connected to the CAN bus? Well, hit the legend. All of these control modules are connected to the CAN bus, okay? The modules are at the bottom. See the CAN bus at the top because this is the diagram that we're in. It's for the CAN bus. Here's an option code. Okay. Got to have U53, option code 538, which is PTS control unit, which is Parktronic control unit, right? So if you have the Parktronic option, you'd have this option code in your VIN, and then you'd have, this diagram there. And then if you want to learn, here's connector 1, pins 5 and 6 of the Parktronic module, go to pin 2 of the CAN bus, all right? Or I'm sorry, connector 2, pins 1 and 2. Okay? How easy this is to navigate. I can do this over and over and over again all day long, but it's simple. Simple. Once you understand what you're looking at. WebETM, I want to look at where the tire monitor module's at. Let's see, it should be in tires and wheels. Tire pressure control unit. I want to learn a little bit about it. System information. Brings me a WIS document, tells me about it. There's some links in here. How to work it. Okay. Look in the diagram. Here's my module. Where's the module located? Click on it. Star Finder. Boom. That's where it's located. Easy peasy. Okay. Where's my power and ground to it? Oh, look at fuse 70, rear fuse box, 10 amp fuse. It's battery power fuse. Where's that located? Under the seat. Diagram. There's CAN bus wires to it. If I can't communicate with it, I want to know what the CAN bus is for. Well, up to May of 2001, it's on this CAN connector in this wiring diagram. As of June of 2001, it's on this diagram. So if I got a June 2001, I'm trying to find out where this guy's at. He's right there in the right front door sill. I want to see the wiring diagram to that just so I can see it. Boom, diagram of the CAN bus. So easy to navigate. I really hope this helps. Feel free to subscribe. I hope you watch this video at the points that you need and eventually see the whole thing, because everything that I've learned over 25 years is wrapped up into this video. If I want to diagnose the CAN bus, what should it have? Sometimes it tells you no reliable tests. Okay. Sometimes there's notes. But that's it. There's only so many things you can do in here. You can't ruin it. Okay. Can't mess anything up. Get in here and get lost. Learn everything that you can about your car. This will make you very efficient at fixing your car. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.